Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the latest thrillers I've read. I don't really usually read thriller, but I don't usually read thriller, but it's not my go-to genre, but if I wanna really be addicted to a book or just like I don't want to say cheat my book number, so the number of books I've read. However, I can finish a thriller in one day. So if I'm a bit behind with my book count, just read a few thrillers. If you're someone who is trying to read more books or get into the habit of reading, I'd say that thriller's probably a good place to start. But there are some very tense thrillers, and I have one of those in here, and I literally felt claustrophobic reading this book. So anyway, the first book I'm going to start with is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. My Greek friends are going to not like me for that. You've probably... I think that was when this first came out, it was everywhere. Like, this was the only book people were reading, and so basically the book is it's split into two, so we follow two different people. Was that how it was? I actually don't remember. I'm pretty sure that's how it was. Okay, yeah. Was it just her diary? I read it. This is such a great start. I'm such a credible source. I don't remember if it was in two different parts, but basically you'd follow two main people basically. So the book follows a woman called Alicia, and Alicia actually is a patient in a mental institution. And the reason that she's in there is because she's supposedly murdered her husband. And after the murder, she goes through some sort of trauma, and the trauma results in her not speaking to anyone. So there's no defense, there's nothing. But she is an artist, and after the events unfold, she just paints one picture, and that's literally like the final form of communication. In the mental institution for about 6 years before our male protagonist joined her, and he is a psychiatrist, and he has basically heard of Alicia's story, and he's adamant that he's going to get her to speak, and he's going to be the one who kind of aids her recovery and actually get somewhere with it. There is a massive plot twist. As the reader, you're kind of... I never saw the ending coming, and when I clocked on to what's going on, I was like, wow. Yeah, if you are trying to get into thrillers or reading a book, that review didn't know justice. Pick it up, it's a good one. Apparently that's what I'm going to say about every book. But okay. The next book is Blood Orange by Harriet Tyce. Again, this is another book that was pretty sensational in the readers community. This book follows a lawyer called Alison. So the way my perception of Alison changed from the beginning to the end was actually surprising. She started off to be this drunk mother who basically goes out after work on Fridays, gets drunk, sleeps with her boss. She's had an affair with her boss for some time, and the kind of opening scene is her husband and her daughter come to pick her up from the office, and she's basically just fallen asleep on her chair. So she isn't painted in the best light, but as the book continues, we see that her husband was a bit of a psychopath, and a psychopath in a way where it's literally the last few pages where the story unravels, and it kind of made me a bit sick. Again, this is a very fast-paced book. It's definitely a story of a mother, of a woman who feels like she's failing as a mother, and when she tries to turn things around, her husband is a constant block, but it's kind of, she doesn't view her husband as a block because I guess the guilt makes her think that she's in the wrong. But the ending is great. Blood Orange. Once you read the book, you know why it's called Blood Orange. But yeah, it's a good one, obviously. The next book, which one do I want to start with? Okay. The next book is 13 by Steve Cavanagh. This is actually my first Steve Cavanagh book, but from what I've gathered, he's quite big in the thriller world, and for good reason. I feel like obviously every good author, I kind of I'm just amazed by their imagination. But authors who write thriller, is everything okay? Like, how do you, because there's so many plot twists, and as a reader, I'm just like, every page is just shocking. Like, how do you think like this? I want to know. My brain must be so two-dimensional compared to these authors. And am I okay with that? I guess I have no choice. We actually follow a serial killer called Cain. Now Cain is so good to the point. My only criticism, I guess I've got two. Too many things happen. I got a bit lost. I would say at the beginning and towards the end I got a bit lost, because the beginning it flips between two characters. And for some reason, I didn't clock on that was happening. So when the perspective was changing, I was thinking, what? It was just too much to take in. But that might have been, I don't know if I was being a bit lazy with my reading and not fully focusing. And then towards the end, because Cain seems to, get out of situations and plot the craziest, the maddest things. And it's like, I know it's a novel, but what's going on? Basically, in a nutshell, like I said, we follow Cain. Cain has murdered many people over the years, and he has left no evidence of himself, where he would never have been the suspect if he didn't put himself in a trial. So he murders someone, and then he makes sure that he murders someone, so there's a court case. Then he murders one of the jury, and then literally breaks his nose so he can look like that person, changes his mannerisms. And he would have never been the suspect if he didn't put himself in the jury. So, not so smart now, are you, Cain? Cain is smart, but one of the lawyers is smarter than him, so manages to outsmart him. Like I said, this is also a fast-paced book, and it's a good thriller to read. But yeah, at some points I felt like there was just a bit too much going on, where it just took me a bit of figuring out. But the next book is The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. This is also a good book. Did I see the ending coming? No, I didn't. I just remembered what the ending was. Okay, so there's kind of two plot twists in this. The couple leaves their baby at home because they're going to a dinner party at their neighbours, and the neighbours have said no babies, and the baby is pretty much a newborn. So they leave the baby, but the mom and dad keep going to check back, but when they come home, the baby has been kidnapped. So then there's an investigator, and I guess in kidnap cases, it's the relatives and the parent or the friends aren't excluded from the narrative. No, excluded from being suspects. So obviously the mom and dad are suspects. So the first plot twist... Can I explain this without giving a spoiler? I don't think I can. But the first plot twist is that the person who kidnapped the baby isn't a stranger. So much for not giving a spoiler. But later on we find that person was actually trapped or tricked by another member of the family, let's say. And yeah, I think I finished this in 2 days actually. Really fast paced, really nice storyline. And yeah, the plot twists are obviously surprising, but yeah, I would say it's a relatively easy read in comparison to Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I posted that I was going to read this on Instagram. So many people were like, it's such a good book, like you're going to love it, you're not going to be able to put it down. I couldn't put it down. I kind of loved it. Actually, I didn't love it. It was literally like claustrophobia in these pages. Like, the thing is, as a reader, I was so curious to find out what's going to happen in the end. Because we're literally dealing with a psychopath. But at the same time, it was just like, I can't wait to finish this book because it's just like closing in on me. It was just it was a really weird experience as a reader. It was the first time for me that a novel made me feel quite restricted. But basically the book follows Grace and Jack. Grace has an autistic sister and her parents are pretty much out of the question, so she looks after her sister. But she's a devoted sister. She has a really good relationship with her sister, and one day she takes her sister to the park and they meet Jack, and she's like, wow, like Jack kind of takes care of her sister and just instantly he becomes part of their life. And I guess that's the first red flag, is how seamlessly he just got in there and like was the perfect man. And yeah, after 6 months of Jack and Grace meeting, Jack proposes. Jack takes care of everything. So the house they're gonna live in, Grace doesn't even see it. They're gonna live in a house, the wedding. Jack basically takes control of everything. And it's quite a good feeling for Grace, I guess. But she has to stop working, so she becomes so reliant on Jack. Anyway, but the first cracks show at her wedding night when Grace is at a hotel and Jack is nowhere to be seen. Jack comes to pick her up so they can fly to Thailand. And in the morning he's just rude. Obviously Grace is like, where the hell were you? Anyway, eventually they fly to Thailand, and Jack basically locks her up and she can't leave. And when she kind of sees what Jack's motive was, Jack was never really interested in Grace. He was interested in Grace's sister, in a very disgusting reason. Yeah. Major psychological issues. But yeah, so Grace feels like she's trapped, and as the reader, you actually feel like there is no way of her going, because she can't even leave her house without Jack by her side. She doesn't leave her house. She's basically, every time she does something wrong, she gets punished. So the things she can enjoy actually get less and less every time she's punished. So she'll be in a big room and then she gets locked in a smaller room with basically nothing in there to, you know, waste time or make the days flow. She's just trapped in a room for countless amount of days. And actually, in the end, it's Grace's sister who helps Grace escape from Jack. The one who helps Grace escape from Jack in the end. So the book does finish in favour of Grace, but by the time it finished, I was pulling my hair out. So if you are a fan of thriller, you've probably read this if you're a fan of thriller, but if you are more into your thriller and you're kind of ready for the next stage, then definitely read this if you haven't. Apparently some of other B.A. Paris books are less intense, so maybe I'll check her out. Let me know if I should. These are my thriller suggestions, and the thrillers I've read so far. I do have a few more in my list, but I literally went through a bit of a thriller marathon with the last 3 books. So I feel like maybe no thriller for a while, just so I can sleep a bit better. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.